Minda Wilson with Urgent Care. I'm proud to welcome Mia Roseberry, who is founder and executive director of the Wounded Warrior Homes. Mia, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about your journey with Wounded Warrior Homes. How did you start it, and what was the reason for it?
So the story is actually pretty long. So the short version is my husband and I were challenged to do something more as entrepreneurs for the community than just, run a business. And we decided that we wanted to really look at who in the community needs the most support. And I come from a long generation of Marines, grandfather, father, brother, nephew. And so we contacted the Wounded Warrior Battalion at Camp Pendleton and asked them who needed the most support. And they said that the post-9/11 veterans with traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress were falling through the cracks because they had what they consider the invisible wounds of war. And so Wounded Warrior Homes was born out of that. And we have been around since late 2009. We've had our doors open since 2012, and we continue the journey every day, finding new ways to support the veterans in our community.
And how do you support them? What support can they expect from you?
Well, we provide transitional housing, so it's not long-term. It's month to month for up to 2 years, but based on every veteran's needs. And we help them. Well, first, we all forget that when we go home at night that we're safe. Imagine tomorrow you go home and the door is not there. The house isn't there.
Right.
And all you have to rely on is your car if you own one.
Right.
And so what we do is we provide that safe haven through our transitional housing. And then we provide support services for veterans for whatever it is they need. It's based on each veteran's individual needs. So do they need help getting a job? They have legal issues. They need to register their cars, go back to school, work on their benefits. So it's an individualized program for every veteran in the program. Some veterans have needed more than others. And some veterans have just really needed a solid place to call home so they could start going in the direction they were planning on going in the first place. But when you don't have a home to feel safe in every night, you're not thinking about the next day. You're thinking about where can I sleep that's safe and how can I eat?
Wow. So they feel like they have a place. So you provide them that opportunity to have a place that they can call home.
Yes. Place that they can call home and have support around them to look at whatever it is they've got going on and where they might need the most help.
And then what kind of, I'm sure they need other help in addition to just a place to stay.
Absolutely. We have veterans who have tried to get their benefits and have been denied for one reason or another. And everyone's willing to fight the fight, but only for so long. And then they sort of start to give up. So our focus is, what do you need to be successful in life? And how can we help you get the resources to get there? And then sometimes along the way, we say that the guys say that we did all the work, but really they do all the work. We're just there to support them through it and to help them find the resources and sometimes give them a kick in the butt to keep moving forward because we all get lazy.
Is it lazy or frustrated or maybe both?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think, frustration leads to, I don't want to deal with it, or overwhelm leads to, I'm just tired and I want to take a break. But then, for all of us, depending on what we're facing in life, we can stop moving forward unless, we really have that drive. And depending on how long you've been fighting the fight, that drive to move forward can easily slip away. And so we just remind the veterans, what do you see yourself in, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years? And we have a veteran who's moving out on September 14th, and we were talking last week about where he was this exact time last year. And we were sitting in an emergency room because he had suicidal thoughts and a plan. And he reached out and said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here. And it's like, well, we need to get you help. And we had already been working with him on, getting help and having support around it. But, some other stuff came up in his life, and he just said, I don't want to fight anymore. And
Right.
now he's moving out. He's moving back home. He has a home of his own. He's super excited. And I said, remember where you were last year and see where you are today? Aren't you glad you're still here? And it reminded him that, he can overcome. We all can. It just takes a little bit longer for some than others, and the fight has to be a little harder for others. But just, the fight is doable.
Right.
Especially
And support. He had you in his corner, which also helps.
Absolutely. They all do. That's why we're here.
Right. But that means a lot. People, people need a wingman.
We all need a wingman or a woman.
or woman, a wing person.
Yeah, we do. We going it alone in the world is it's difficult, and it's certainly not fun.
Right. And the isolation is part of the problem. They come back and they feel isolated. And soldiers especially feel isolated because they're used to being an integral part of a group. And then that's like, okay, well, you're done. Goodbye.
Yeah, it's difficult on the veterans making that transition. It's really, I think it's difficult for all veterans from all branches, from all wars, because their life looks different when they're in the military. They have each other's back. They can rely on each other. They have a different way of living.
Right.
And when that way of living is suddenly gone, it definitely makes it a little more difficult.
Right. And it's suddenly gone because they've been injured, not because they've decided to leave and move on to do something else.
And sometimes a veteran makes the choice. And we've had veterans who aren't discharged for any reason other than their time is up, and they made that decision to get out of the military and move forward. And then they get out and they realize that maybe it's not as easy as they thought. Maybe there's a little more difficulties than they thought. They're running into more barriers than they thought. And so it's really nice to be able to be here for them to say, okay, but how can we help? What can we do differently? And how can we get you there? And it's really, I say that the two proudest days are the day that the veteran chooses to trust us to help him or her, and the day they graduate, because somewhere along the line, sometimes sooner, sometimes longer, the light comes on and they see the possibilities in their life again. And that's what's super cool, is that possibility. Once we all see possibilities, we know there's something to fight for.
So how does that work? Like what so your program, how do people find you?
Well, we have referrals from the different programs in San Diego. A lot of our veterans come to us from the Aspire Center. They can come through a case manager, friends, the community colleges. We've had students that have been going to school at one of the local universities or community colleges, and someone finds out that they're a veteran and that they're sleeping in their car while they're going to school because the money that they get to use for school doesn't cover enough. San Diego's not cheap, and things are expensive here, and so is housing. And it doesn't cover food and books and rent, so they choose to be able to eat and pay for school and their books, but then they're living in their car. So,
right.
If anybody can refer them to Wounded Warrior Homes, but our primary is different other veteran-based programs and their positions.
And how do people support your organization specifically? Like, can they get involved? Is there a way they can be helpful? What?
Well, they can check out our website at woundedwarriorhomes.org, and there are a lot of ways you can get involved. You can become a volunteer and help on a work day. You know, even with everything going on right now, we still have properties that need yard maintenance. You can do a food drive at your office or with your friends. You can participate in our golf tournament.
Drive? What is a food drive?
A food drive. So we have a food pantry, and the veterans that are in our program, veterans who've been in our programs, we're serving about 115 families right now. And so also veterans who receive dog food for their service dogs through another program that we work with called Animeals, which is from Helen Woodward here in San Diego. Those veterans can also access our pantry. And so it's just one less thing that you have to worry about. What are you going? How are you going to afford and choose between, you know, nutritious foods and paying your electric bill?
Right.
You know, that when times are tough, it's one less stressor. What do you have to worry about? It's
right.
Really awesome.
Right. So they can volunteer, help maintain the properties. They can have a food drive, help bring food accessibility. And money, can they?
Of course. Yep. Everybody, donations are definitely needed right now. A lot of our grantors have been shifting their funding to help with the COVID situation right now. So funding is very important to us. We also have a golf tournament coming up the weekend of September 17th through the 20th. It's a virtual tournament, so anywhere in the U.S., a golfer can play at the course of their choice, and they can pick 3 players from the U.S. Open, PGA Pros, to be part of their foursome. And so it's a fun way to be able to go out and have golf and have an opportunity to make your foursome. It's sort of a fantasy golf, but you are part of the team instead of just picking your team virtually. You're actually one of the players. And that's going to be, registration is open now through September 15th on our website at woundedwarriorhomes.org. And then you can do a legacy gift. People sometimes when they start to prepare their will or their trust, they make decisions on organizations that they might want to donate to when they pass away. They can do employer matching. You can have, if you're an Amazon shopper, you can list Wounded Warrior Homes as a charity that you shop for when you shop, and Amazon makes donations directly to Wounded Warrior Homes based on your shopping.
Amazon Smile.
Amazon Smile, yes, ma'am.
So with all those ways to help out, and with so many people losing their jobs outside the veteran sector, are you getting pressure to help not people outside as well?
Sometimes we're getting referrals from other programs, but we can definitely help make referrals to a more appropriate program. We're helping right now because we're a staff of 5. And with limited staffing actually in the office, I'm working from home and have been since March. So is my assistant. The assistant director is in the office every day. And then we have 2 other staff that float in and out. So to, keep everybody safe, we have to limit who we're able to support as well as our program. And so we're doing first responders and the military. So they can be active duty, they can be veterans, they can, but we can also, if we have a referral to a need that somebody has that we can't meet, we can help them by referring them to an appropriate program.
And veteran homelessness may increase just because, people are being laid off. So they may, there might be more veterans out of work just because of that.
Definitely.
But with all that being said, there is an avenue, which is your organization, and there is some hope. So people specifically want to reach out to you and your organization. What's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, they can check out our website at woundedwarriorhomes.org. They can fill out, there's forms on there based on things that you might want, ways you might want to get involved, or you can always call our office at 760-205-5050.
And it's Wounded Warrior Homes.org.
Yes, ma'am.
Mia, thank you so very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to having you on again when we have some more time.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me to share our mission with the community.
This is Minda Wilson for Urgent Care.